I believe self-doubt is one of the biggest killers to anyone's dreams.
Yeah.
So how does someone develop self-confidence and sustain it with the ever-going changes and stresses and uncertainties that always come up?
Yeah.
Once you reach a certain level, there's a new uncertainty.
Yeah. So I think it's ironic that we call it self-confidence, because I don't, for one, think it comes from the inside. I think our self-confidence comes from the outside, right?
You mean that's the wrong way of going about it, or you think that's where it comes from in general?
We are being misdirected by the name. When we say build your self-confidence, that's the instruction is saying go inside, look inside oneself. Mm-hmm. But I think that's a false direction. Children aren't born self-confident. Their confidence is built from their parents and their friends and their teachers, where they're rewarded when they do well and they're pushed when they fail, when they can do better. Simply, we know this, that simply telling kids that they're great all the time actually doesn't build self-confidence, actually does the total opposite. Right? And I, for one, I can tell you, in my own experience, my own self-confidence, 100% comes from the relationships that I have. It's not some deep internal fortitude. A world-famous trapeze artist is not going to try a brand new death-defying act for the first time without a net. So it's the people in my life. It's when I do doubt myself that somebody says, you got this. When somebody says, I believe in you. When somebody says, no matter what happens, whether it succeeds or fails, I'm going to be by your side. That's when I have the confidence to do difficult things.
Wow.
Right? I don't have some natural battery that just
right.
That to me is bravado.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's self-confidence. Being a huge risk taker is not an indication of self-confidence to me. Jumping out of a plane and jumping out of a plane with a parachute are two different things, right?
Right.
To me, self-confidence is measured, and there should be a degree of doubt. But I think true self-confidence, belief in oneself and belief in one's cause, I could not do the things that I'm doing, and I would not have the strength to have made the sacrifices that I've made, or continue to wake up on a daily basis to drive to spread this message, if I were alone. And so when we talk about building one's self-confidence, I think the mistake that we make is that we look inside. I think the reality is when we're trying to build our self-confidence, we should be looking to our friends, we should be nursing our relationships. When I'm looking to build my self-confidence, the question is, who around me do I need to take care of? The way we build our self-confidence is by helping somebody else build theirs.
Right.
It's an act of, we will build our confidence with an act of service. So I'll tell you a true story. So I did an experiment. I love doing experiments in my own life.
Yeah, me too.
I have mad thoughts, and I'm like, well, let's try this one out. So I have a very dear friend who has stuck with me through thick and thin, who she is absolutely profoundly one of the reasons that I am who I am today, right? And I have my confidence in large part because of her, right? She's one of a small group of people who I look at and say, yep, good friend, right? Yeah. She was struggling, like seriously struggling. Oh, let me take a step back. So we decided that we were gonna, she was struggling. She was going through some hard things in her life. Career wasn't going the way she wanted. Her personal relationship was struggling. There was a lot of rough.
She was lacking confidence.
There was a lot of rough.
Yeah.
She was lacking confidence.
Yeah.
And we would get together on a regular basis, and I would attempt to coach her. And she'd feel great for the hour after she left me, and then it would very quickly go back to normal. Right. And we'd get back together, and I would coach her, and she felt great for the hour after she left me, and then it would go back to normal. And I can't say that there was some profound change being made in her life. So I had a harebrained idea. I went to her and I said, I need your help. I said, I'm struggling. I don't have a coach that I love and trust. You've known me for years. I trust you with everything. I feel unbelievably safe around you. can you put together a program and can you coach me? I think you're good at it. And it wasn't reciprocal. It was I'll coach you, you coach me. I said, it's just, I need your help because I'm struggling. It was legit. It wasn't like I was just making stuff up.
You were stressed.
It was legit. I could do with the help and I trusted her to help me. And something profound started to happen. Over the course of just a few weeks, it wasn't even a few months, but over the course of a few weeks, she started to gain way more confidence. Her career started to really move in a more positive direction. Her relationship firmed up. And the more that she was in service to me, the more that she grew herself.
Wow.
So I think self-confidence, I wish we didn't call it self-confidence. Because like I said, I think it gives a false direction. The way we build confidence is with. Con means with, doesn't it?
Interesting.
So I have no idea the
interesting.
etymology of confidence.
That's interesting.
Just making stuff up here. But con means with. To confide. Let's look this up because fidelity, is something to do with truth. So confide, right? Look it up. What the etymology of look up the etymology of confidence. It's to confide is two people, like a conspiracy is a co-whisper. That's what conspiracy is, a co-whisper. So confidence it's co-fidelity.
Right.
What is so? Let's see if the instinct is matched by the etymology of the word, and which if it isn't, I'm still okay with it.
Yeah. You look.
What do you give me? What does it say? So it comes from late Middle English, confident translations, origins, and meaning. Here we go. Unlike etymology dictionaries. God love it. Where's the word come from? It's about trust or reliance. But what's the actual etymology of the word? Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and waste everybody's time.
Yeah, we can look it up later.
But it comes from cum fidre. And fidre means to trust.
To trust yourself or trust other people?
So cum, what does cum mean? It means with. It means with trust.
Wow. That could be with trust with yourself.
I think it's been that's my point. I think it's been. I think it's like a conspiracy requires two people. You cannot have a conspiracy with one person. It's a co-whispering. You commit the crime of conspiracy when you tell someone something, and you're both in on it. Right. So I think confidelity, confidence is the same thing. I think it's at least two people who undertake the task of trust and reliance.
So she was coaching you, and you saw a change with over a few weeks of her
confidence built,
and her belief in herself.
Her belief in herself grew when she was in service to helping me.
Yeah.
And so that goes back to the root of the question: how do you build your self-confidence?
Or how do you overcome self-doubt?
How do you overcome self-doubt? Help someone else overcome self-doubt.
I love that. I love that.
You overcome self-doubt by helping, and it's not a selfish thing. I'm only helping you so I can. You have to genuinely love and commit to the person. This person that you're helping, you have to genuinely care about their success and their confidence and their lot in life.
Yeah.
So
it's so true. Everything comes back to service.
And like I said, it goes back to the origins of humankind, right? Which is we are naturally tribal animals, and we actually are at our best when we are in service to each other in a cause greater than ourselves.
The more we focus on what we're lacking, what we don't have, what's not working for us, the challenges we're going through, the more doubt we're going to have.
Correct.
When we're inwardly focused on what we don't have.
Oh, I wish we'd had this conversation about 8 months ago, because I would have written half the stuff in this book.
Well, I'm writing a book on self-doubt right now.
Well, because this is what the infinite mindset is all about. A finite mindset is win, 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 be number one, be the best. Me, me, me. Right?
Win, 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 meaning win at all costs, not win-win.
Correct. Not win dash
not
win.
Win.
It's win, comma, win, comma, win.
Yeah. Because the infinite game is you win, I win, the world wins, right? We all win. Humanity wins.
Right, it's a whirlwind. That's funny.
It's not win-win.
Right. So we are players in infinite games every day of our lives, whether we like it or not. There's no such thing as being number one in marriage. Like, good luck with that.
Right. Yeah, that's not going to
work. There's no one who's declared the winner of life. Like, we come, we go. Like, if you make more money than somebody else, You're not the winner of life.
Before the interview continues, if you feel like you're not living your most authentic life, not leaning into your purpose, and not living the life that your future self would be extremely proud of, I've written a new book called The Greatness Mindset, and I think you're gonna love this. Through powerful stories, science-backed strategies, and step-by-step guidance, The Greatness Mindset will help you overcome all the different challenges in your life to design the life of your dreams and then turn it into your reality. Make sure to click the link below in the description to get your copy today. Okay, let's get back to this video.
Yeah. Sorry,
right?
Someday you die.
Someday you just die and you don't take it with you.
Yeah.
You know? And there's no such thing as winning business or winning global politics. But if we listen to too many leaders, they talk about being number one, being the best, and beating their competition.
Yeah, this was me in my entire life.
Yeah, it's a lot of people.
Until like 6-7 years ago when I learned that doesn't work anymore.
And you're an Olympian.
Well, I haven't made the Olympics, but I'm on the Olympic handball team, yes. On the national team.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah,
you're at the highest levels
yes.
Of athletics.
Yes.
And you know this from spending time with athletes, which is individual athletes.
I know, it's all about
where
winning.
Team athletes tend to be a lot healthier.
Yeah.
So like individual athletes, when they reach the top of their game, Michael Phelps, Andre Agassi, they become the greatest in the world. The next thing that happens to them is depression, right?
Yep.
Whereas team athletes, you win the World Series, you win the Super Bowl, it doesn't, like, deep depression is not the next thing that happens.
Some people maybe, but not in general.
It's not in general. And the Olympic athletes are such a unique, and I talked to a bunch of them for this
Especially
book.
the gymnasts who are like 16, you have 1 billion people watching you, you win the gold medal.
Yeah.
Now what?
And it is one of the most selfish finite pursuits because the entire pursuit is, I'm going to be number one.
The gold medal.
Right, and they all say the same thing, I want to win the Olympics. Yeah. Well, you don't actually win the Olympics. You win one event.
Yeah.
You know, but they all say the same thing, I'm going to win the Olympics, right? And then they say nonsense like, you want to inspire all the little children. Not a single one of them on their vision boards has pictures of little children overcoming adversity. They have pictures of them standing on podiums, holding medals, holding up trophies, or the vision boards. It's entirely a selfish pursuit, right? And any inspiration to little kids is just a Lucky Strike extra that's really good for the press conference, right? But not a single one of them is waking up doing it for the kids. Right. I drag myself out of bed. I'm running in the rain. I missed Thanksgiving for the kids. Didn't happen. Never on any planet, right? It was for me, right? And so there's this, whether they medal or not, when they're done, even if they were medalists, when they're done with the Olympics and their ability to pursue, they spent their entire lives from their childhood to adulthood striving to be number one. And let's be honest, they're not the best. They're just better than everybody else that day. Which is really funny to me, right? Which is, you can get a gold medal in pick a sport, ice skating, and you fell in your routine. But if everybody else fell twice,
you're the best.
You're the best.
Yeah. You're the winner.
But you're not. You're just better than everybody else in the competition because it's finite.
Yeah.
And finite has known players, fixed rules, and agreed upon objectives. It's only the players. But it's not life. And there's an imbalance. Yes, finite games are very important. Finite games and finite objectives are essential in an infinite game. Right? But the infinite game is the context for those finite games. I need to excel or be the best here in order to X, right? And recognize that this is not the end all be all. The analogy for living with an infinite mindset is not about winning, right? The better analogy is exercise, right? So how do you be a healthy person? Well, you have to eat well, you have to get enough sleep, you have to nurse your personal relationships, and you have to exercise. If you do some of those things, you'll be healthier than doing none of those things, but you kind of have to do them all, right? Living an infinite mindset is the same thing. There's a series of practices. Do some, you'll be better than none, but you kind of have to do them all, right? And the way the finite mindset fits into it is, I want to get into shape. I've been sitting on the couch for most of my life watching TV. I'm going to get into shape. And I have a fitness goal, a finite goal that I can easily measure, my weight. I can look on a scale and I can measure the progress. And I've made the goal that I'm going to lose this amount of weight by this date. And so I commit to a healthy lifestyle. I eat better, I exercise more, I'm getting more sleep, and I'm watching the weight fall off. And I miss my goal. I don't lose the amount of weight that I wanted to lose by the date.
That time,
So what?
you're still healthier and you're on you're on the road to being healthier. And I can see for a fact that you absolutely will hit the goal later on. And even if you hit the goal, the problem is you can't stop exercising. You have to do it for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
That's what an infinite mindset is. An infinite mindset is more like a lifestyle, which is, yes, absolutely, having finite goals is very important. We are absolutely driven by goals. We like measuring things. It is much easier to get into the lifestyle of exercise and the habit of it if I have metrics. Look at the insanity of Fitbits and things like that, which overdone is actually unhealthy and has adverse
obsessiveness.
But we'll talk, it's not the subject. But the point is, it's helping people get up and have a healthier lifestyle. We like measuring stuff.
Yeah.
It's a human thing, right? But it's not about winning. It's not actually about the goal. The goals and metrics are simply a way to help us measure speed and distance. I've lost this amount of weight over this amount of time, right? You cannot run a marathon without mile markers. It's unnerving. The mile markers help me measure how far I've gone, and how fast have I gone. Yeah. And the metrics we have at work help us measure how far we're moving and how fast we're moving towards a vision that is, for all practical purposes, unrealizable. Right? That's the infinite game. There's a context. And so when we beat ourselves up because we miss an arbitrary number by an arbitrary date, but the question is, are we building a healthy organization? And I would rather organizations do all the right things to build a healthy organization, even if they miss arbitrary dates. One of my favorite stories is Gary Ridge from WD-40. WD-40 is a public company.
Huge company.
It's a decent-sized company, which is kind of incredible because it's basically
just oil.
Basically
it's
one
just
product.
Oil. It's like
basically one
grease.
Product. It's it's very sophisticated lubricant that was actually made for the space program. But by the way, we talked about fancy food, and their offices they just moved into a new office recently. Their old offices were a dump.
Really?
And yet the morale through the roof.
Why is that?
People love work because it was never about the office. It was about the people.
Wow.
It's never about the office. It was about the people, right? Anyway, they have a lovely new office now, but it's still about the people. That's why I said before, it's is it the food? Well, it depends on the company. Anyway, he was on one of his quarterly analyst calls, and one of the analysts said, "You missed your numbers," and Gary said, "No, I didn't. I missed yours. Mine are fine."
Wow.
Right? And that's the point, which is there's nothing wrong with having metrics and goals. Those are very important to human beings. But to what end? What are we serving bigger than ourselves? Right? So my analogy is like an iceberg. Right? So we know that the majority of an iceberg lies underneath the water. So when there's a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of the iceberg sitting above the ocean, right? It's the visionary who can see beneath the ocean. It's the visionary who stands there, and even though everybody sees a tiny or nothing, they can see nothing. The visionary is able to explain what exists in their imagination only. Okay, it only exists in their imagination, and they inspire a few people to join them because yes, we can do that, and they start working, and a little bit of the iceberg shows, and a few people go, oh, it's going to work. And so they commit to joining the movement or the company, and a little more of the iceberg shows, right? And before too long, enough of the iceberg shows that people can go, this is a real thing. You're not insane and crazy. What you're doing is actually in reality. Right. But the thing is, the vast majority of the iceberg still exists under the ocean. And so what the visionary does is constantly remind us where we're going and how much more we have to do. And though we can celebrate how much we've achieved, how much of the iceberg is sticking up above the ocean, the reality is we have way more work, and when I die, it's still going to be the majority underneath the ocean. And that's what the movement is all about. Wow. The metrics help us measure how fast and how far how much of the iceberg we've revealed. But the infinite game is understanding that the majority of our work still lies undiscovered. Instead of changing the way a business operates and changing the way in which we teach leaders to operate with an infinite mindset so that we more naturally have work-life balance. And let's be crystal clear what work-life balance means. Doing more yoga does not create work-life balance. Right?
That's the shoe. The cushion on the shoe.
That's the cushion on the shoe, right?
Yeah.
The